So, welcome to my garden in March. I'm starting from scratch here because I haven't had a chance to do anything over winter. We just moved in and then I was starting university at the same time, so everything just overrun. So I've done nothing till this month. So let's go take a bit of a tour and see what I've been getting up to. You're really impressed? That was a brilliant idea.
You need to be slightly hard though. You need to press gently.
Yeah.
Tap
Firmly but gently. Well done. So, quick garden update. We're getting it ready to bring our chickens home and we're sectioning off a part of the garden for the dogs. So he's doing that first, and then at the back I'm going to be growing food. While he's doing that, I'm making a lovely crumble because my friend brought me some lovely rhubarb that she grew in her garden. So we managed to find all these pallets for free on Facebook Marketplace. So whizzed down there straight away with the van and got them all because they're going to be much better sturdier fencing, especially as they're all steel reinforced as well. So this is awesome, an awesome find. I love Facebook Marketplace for gardening bargains. I don't know if you can see, but our propagation of the fennels works. So I'm going to transplant this because it's getting a bit wet now. So I'm going to get this in some soil now that it's got a good root system on it. Yeah.
Why are you writing like that?
So Nimue is now drawing the flower that we transplanted, which is yarrow.
And I written that.
Orchilea millefolium it's called. And then she's going to watercolour over her drawing. It's now the 14th of March and it's a little later than planned to get my onions in. I've got some onion sets here. I'd like to have got them out sooner, but life overrun when I became ill and ended up in hospital. So I'm getting them out today instead. Well, by getting them out, I'm going to put them in here to start them off, and then I'll transplant them into the ground when they're ready.
We're done.
Oh no, then you've got to put the seeds in. Let's just spread that out.
Okay.
And then you've got to do them evenly spaced. Well done. And this is called in a grid formation.
Should I put one in the middle?
Can do.
on top.
Yep. That well done. Where this small pallet is, that's going to be the gate area. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it will be. Yeah. And that's the dog's area there. I'm going to make it look much prettier. Because I'm going to grow hops in front of it, I'm thinking. And then because it's quite vine-like, it'll grow up the wood and make it look really pretty. It's also medicinal. This is going to be our potato bed. We're doing no dig, so it's just gone down straight on the grass. So I'm going to get some compost on that once we've wet it all. Actually, it is all quite wet. You just can't see it because of the lighting on the camera. So now it's time for me to put the compost on there. I'm being lazy, but that's the potato bed. I need to get another 2 bags of compost for that, I think. All that at the back is just dark and it's just like crap the old tenants obviously removed at some point and dumped in the corner because it's all on top of concrete. So yeah, that's fun. But it'll be worth it when it's all in and done. So this is the fencing to keep the dogs out of the area. It looks very basic, very rough, very yak. So here, and I'm just preparing the bed now, I'm doing no dig, and this is where my hops are going to go. And I'm hoping they'll grow up this ugly fencing and make it look prettier and a part of the garden, because hops is a vine. So I'm going to train that to go up there, and we'll obviously be putting string across the wood as extra support eventually. We'll add a good soaking. So that's now pretty much ready for me to plant my hops into. Historically, hops was used to brew beer. It was readily accessible and safer to drink back then than the local water supplies, full of the lovely nutrients that would have been a benefit to all in the family. And herbal beers are incredibly medicinal. But hops doesn't just make a great beer, it's also a highly medicinal plant. And hops is actually a vine that grows quite easy. It's actually related to the cannabis family, but it doesn't get you high in the same way. It doesn't have that THC in it. But it does have many of the other medicinal benefits. It's an effective relaxant and sedative, an analgesic, and a great way to manage pain naturally. After all, my aim is a medicinal, edible garden. And hops became a common beer initially due to the Catholic Church controlling access to the brewing recipes. So German peasants decided they were going to use hops instead. It's a bitter herb, so it's amazing for our liver health and our digestive system because it stimulates those digestive juices. It also stimulates the gallbladder and helps the body to use its fat stores more efficiently. As with other plants, you don't want to overdo it. So if making beer is where your mind's gone, no more than 1 or 2. And that's like moderate sized beers, because otherwise it can have the opposite effect on your digestive system. And that's not something we all want, because we don't want it to make our digestive system more sluggish. So as with all things in nature, clinical herbalism is about balance. It can help aid in sleep, and it's a natural analgesic. So again, like I mentioned earlier, it helps with pain, both physically and emotional pain. So it's a great herb for anxiety and stress related conditions. So especially if you get that digestive nervousness that comes with anxiety too, this can be a wonderful herb for that. So we can help with that nervous jittery energy. And as with a lot of plants, when you start working with them one-on-one, they can have messages. And for me, this one is about slowing down that pace, teaching me to readdress that balance in my life. It's the perfect reminder. So if you're an overthinker, then this is a herb to consider. And as with all my herbal vlogs, please do consider the contraindications, research each herb, and consider your own medical needs when you are making these decisions. Don't just rush out and try a herb, because every herb can be different for each person. So hops is very good at calming the nervous system, and it's also a natural antimicrobial and antibacterial. And historically, records show it was used for toothache, ear infections, and other such conditions. And I use hops for nerve pain, but I've also used it during severe menstrual cramping before, and for lower back pain too. I know a few herbalists that actually use it for rheumatic pain conditions as well. So hops can be used to make a beautiful bath, I also include it in dream pillows. It can be consumed as a tea, a medicinal herbal beer, or as a tincture. And tinctures are probably one of the most effective ways of getting them benefits into yourself. But check back on my plants as they grow and develop over the season. And as I mentioned earlier, I plan on adding a string to the wood to help guide it up and over the fencing. So wish me luck with all that. And I'm going to add a little bit of passion flower to this and make a beautiful herbal tea. I managed to beat the rain getting that bed in, so I'm going to curl up with a book, listen to the rain against the window, snuggle down with a nice brew to help those aches and pains from the garden. Nimway's now sprinkling clover seeds. It's the 16th of March. So it's the day before St. Patrick's Day and she's obsessed with St. Patrick. I wanted some clover in the lawn. So Nimway's more than happy to oblige. So she's just strewing it round in a bit of a circle because this is going to be a bit of a fairy garden. I'm going to have my medicinal herbs around the outside edge of it soon. But we can have some clover growing in the area. I don't know. Now this may not seem like much to some, but this was my great grandmother's. It went to my nan and now it's mine. So I'm well chuffed with this. I'm going to pop my garlic in this. It's Friday the 17th of March and my wild strawberry bare roots have come. So I need to get these in the ground as soon as possible really. So that is going to be today's task, I think, for me and Anthony, because it's just me and Anthony today. Nimway's gone to her dad's and is having a scouting sleepover tonight. He's joining in too, so she's not going to be on her own. It's the first time having a sleepover and he's one of the scouting leaders on duty tonight. So it gives her a good chance to expand those wings, but still have that comfort of her dad being there. So I'm going to get these out in the front. So let's see how we go. So as you can hear, I live in a very urban area. I'll try this again in a minute. And I am working on a very tight budget. So this is a quick bed I've thrown together, no dig style. I've got more compost coming eventually to make it a bit wider, but I needed to get some of these plants out, especially the strawberries that came today. I had nowhere to put them. So you'll see I've interspersed some wild strawberries in this bed too, just because I had nowhere else for them to go. The valerian here, my thyme, basil, Californian poppy, lavender. I've got enough lavender to come out actually. Lady's mantle, I'm hoping that'll pull back and survive. And then obviously another wild strawberry on the end there. The tree seems to have taken to its new home well. It's getting there, getting there. We'll see what happens to it this year. If you've watched my prior vlogs, you know this was a gift. It came with my chickens. My elder seems happier now that it's outside. It didn't enjoy that pot at all. But it does seem to be springing to life. Wahey. And as you can see, I've done a row of wild strawberries right down the left-hand side of the garden. You can just see. And because I'm doing it on a budget, I've just done a layer of cardboard underneath, like a small piece of cardboard, and then got the strawberries, and that one doesn't seem to be happy. Yeah, I'll take that off there and just hope the rest springs back. But at the back you never know. Hawthorn. And then we've got more strawberries. Hawthorn, I've got some Eldon rose hips coming as well. This is going to be a living hedge here with them wild strawberries growing underneath it. So that's going to look very pretty when it eventually materialises and happens. See all this lovely plantain. So I'm leaving this, I want it to look quite wild. So I don't actually want to remove any of the plantain. I'm not that impressed with the buttercup everywhere, but the plantain I want to leave, and the dandelions and so on, and the daisies, because I can use all these medicinally. A lot of the plants that we consider weeds aren't actually weeds really. They're full of nutrition and really missing from our diets today in the modern world. So if you come down here to the end of the garden with me, and this is our front garden, we've got dandelions coming off here, so they're going to be lovely. I've put another couple of wild strawberries in here because this is my wild patch, and it's full of dock dandelion. So I'm literally just going to see how this explodes, because I think it'll tie in quite nicely with my wild garden theme. I mean, all this plantain, all this dandelion, nettle at the back as well. It's all very medicinal. So that is the front garden tour. And it's going to be a bit of a fairy garden at the back, so I'm leaving it quite wild. I'm letting the nettles grow up behind it because I'll harvest them for soups too. I may as well. Free food. Why not? Especially at the minute when I'm running low on iron, so I'm welcoming the nettles at the minute. If you're looking for someone to take your nettles, send them my way. I'm hoping I can get this looking quite pretty as well as being functional. So I'm going to get some Calendula officinalis in there next, I think. Highly medicinal plants, and then that'll make it really, really pretty for Nimue, and I can get some little fairy doors in at the back too. The back garden's now looking like a builder's yard, obviously. We've got all our wood there for building frames with and so on. Shed, my table with all my plants, and I'm sorting through all these at the minute. I'm working out where I'm going to put everything. Oh, chamomile, that's my marshmallow root. Lemon balm, wild celery, that's the doggy toilet area. Hops. When you come around here, I've actually, oh, a bit of rubbish there, I'll have to pick that up, kids, for you. I've actually planted the rest of the strawberries, the wild strawberries here. So this should be quite pretty and beautiful. Nim's going to appreciate it, that's for sure. I've then got my bedding down there waiting for my onion sets and potatoes. I need another bed in front, to be honest with you, because my onions are probably going to be ready first. I'll probably stick them in the bed that's already there, and then get another bed thrown in for the potatoes that are chitting in the loft. And then if we look here, I don't know if you can see it in frame, that is going to be our PTP, and obviously I'm just waiting for all them to spring to life themselves, and then I'll be getting them in over there and creating a bit of a reading nook for Nim. It'll be a nice place for her to come out and do her work in the summer, especially if it's as hot as it was last year. But that is the true benefit of doing no dig. As you've seen today, I've managed to get a full bed in the front. I've managed to get all my strawberries down the side and another bed in the back done quite quickly. So, urban homesteading for you. I'll give it a few seconds. And obviously, being disabled, I do have help with that. There's certain things I can't do myself. I have to get assistance with from the older kids and Hobes, Makira, and other family members when they're free to help and stuff. I roped them in as well. But I've managed to get this done. I'm absolutely knackered now. I'm actually shaking. I think I've used far too much cortisol. But still, they're in. They came earlier than planned. But I've got them out there, I've got them in the ground, and that is what counts. So we'll have to see how these strawberries turn out. And obviously that now meant that I had the beds there to get some of my herbs out that I'd been growing in pots. So some of them went out too. So I'm just going to have a lovely herbal tea in the garden before the rain comes down. And I have to cook tea. I'm doing a shepherd's pie tonight. So as previously mentioned, I am starting from scratch here, and I haven't touched the garden since I've moved into the property, not until the month of March. So this month. So this is my first month actually doing anything practical with the garden. And I'm using the no dig method like I did on the allotment, because that is the method that has the least impact on my body physically, and being disabled, I have to take that into consideration. It's also the quickest and a relatively cheap method. So if you're a budget gardener like me, no dig is one for you to look into. Now, I am lucky because I do get a lot of help from those around me, from the children, from Hopes, who doubles as my carer, and also anybody else who pops in or out if I can rope them into something. And in the back garden, my focus is food. It's going to be very much like I ran the allotment, in a very similar style, and it's probably not going to look much like a garden. In the front are going to be my medicinal and edible flowers and herbs, with a medicinal edible hedge, and now apparently wild strawberries underneath the hedge. And in other vlogs you may have seen me quickly racing to empty the allotment and get as many of the plants that I had on there off and to the new house. Well, many of them actually survived the winter. I was quite impressed, to be fair, because it was with the neglect method. So I only lost a few, and they will also be getting planted this month. And now, if you follow me on TikTok, you'll have seen that I did end up in hospital this month, and I haven't been very well. So yet again, it's another March where I find myself playing catch up. The spring equinox is fast approaching, and I had hoped to be much further along at this point in time. I definitely wanted more beds in by now than I have been, but you know, I'm getting there. And obviously I can't just work around my own schedule, I have to work around the schedule of those who have volunteered to help me. My willing victim, shall we say. And I am having to really pace every aspect of my life at the minute, and I do have to keep reminding myself that I'm still healing and I'm still rebuilding what strength I do usually have. Not much by normal standards, shall we say, but you know, they're my energy levels and I want them back. And my cortisol levels are also still leveling out, shall we say. They're not ideal, so I'm still feeling that, and obviously the anemia. I sadly don't have a greenhouse yet. I may not even manage to get one this season. So currently my kitchen is completely overrun with seed trays. This is one lot by the patio, and this is on the other side of the kitchen. But if you look closely, you can see that the broccoli is starting to rear its head a little bit. So that's good, that's coming along. There's another little one there poking through. And this year, the spring equinox falls on Monday, which is March the 20th, so it's the Monday coming. And it falls at 9:25 p.m. Well, 9:24 if we want to be precise. And it's also a new moon. So obviously we've got all them new moon energies coming in as well. A great time for new projects, new beginnings, increasing that energy, renewal and rebirth. A time with equal amounts of daylight hours and nighttime hours. The wheel is turning once more, and our days are getting brighter, longer and gradually warmer, although the nights do still plummet temperature wise. And the bird song is beautiful this time of year. I was sat outside having a herbal tea before, and the bird song was just amazing. I had a brief 10 minutes, but it seemed like the rest of the area just seemed to go quiet. It was wonderful. And the bird song was brilliant. It was just beautiful listening to it. Our energy, our mood tends to lift along with the season. I know mine definitely improves once we start hitting March. And you may find that you're able to focus more, which is great for those of us who are about to sit exams. And I have been drinking copious amounts of rosemary and lemon balm when I've been studying, although the anemia and the low cortisol are really affecting my memory at the moment. So my nerves are pretty high because it's a lot to remember, and I can just about remember my name currently. I've also found myself appreciating the rain this season. I've actually enjoyed the March rain. I've been sitting there with a book and just listening to it hit the window, and it's been quite tranquil really. It's been beautiful. I've really enjoyed it. I do find the rain quite cleansing and soothing. Taking a walk, especially as a forager, you're spotting wild garlic everywhere at the moment. There's dandelions everywhere, nettle, cleavers. It's almost as if Mother Nature knows exactly what the body needs to be consuming after those sluggish, dark winter months. I've been finding myself craving nettle soup, so as soon as I can get out there and get some nettles, I'll be making a delicious nettle soup. Even more so now that I'm anemic, actually. It'd be wonderful for that too. And nettle beer is also a firm favourite. I mean, it just tastes beautiful, doesn't it? So I will be getting a batch of nettle beer on the go as well. And as the month creeps closer to Ostara, the spring equinox, you tend to find that your chickens are laying again at full speed ahead chicken eggs, because they can slow down or stop over the winter period. But towards Ostara, they tend to pick up in production again. And in the past, when we ate seasonally, this was obviously a big momentous occasion, because they had eggs back in the diet. With the rising food prices, we do seem to be going full circle these days. And there's a lot of crossover symbology across multiple faiths and cultures this time of year, whether you celebrate spring equinox or you celebrate Easter. There's a lot of crossover symbology there, and that is because most of them are about nature, renewal, rebirth and new beginnings. And many of us seem compelled almost to spring clean this time of year. And now I'm doing it in dribs and drabs because I'm trying to conserve my energy and heal, but I still have those urges too, and I have been doing little bits here and there. I will also be smudging on the equinox as well, just to brighten and lift up the air in the house. And I have been opening all my doors and windows and letting that lovely fresh spring air brush out all them cobwebs for me, getting rid of that stagnant winter energy. And March is such a lovely time of year to connect with nature. I enjoy nothing more than sitting out in the garden with a nice hot brew. However, when I didn't have a garden, I used to go to my local green spaces, and I just used to sit on the benches there and just observe and just be one with nature. It's just beautiful seeing all that new life spring up around you. And I also find that I have a very strong connection to the local woodlands, to where I grew up as a child. And obviously I go back to the area quite regularly because my parents live there, so I do visit the woods when I'm there, and I just like to sit and just be and just soak in all that grounding energy. So, herbs and plants associated with Ostara. So obviously you've got your spring greens that we mentioned earlier, things like jack by the head, your garlic, your wild garlic there is, your three-cornered leaf. But then we also have herbs and plants such as chamomile, meadowsweet, can't forget the meadowsweet, cleavers, clover, lemongrass, lavender, thyme, honeysuckle, that's another one. So there are quite a lot of herbs and plants associated with Ostara that you can introduce to your garden or even bring in your home in a vase. How do you celebrate Ostara if you do celebrate it? Or how do you celebrate Easter if that's your festival? Or any other festivals and celebrations this time of year? I'll likely head off to the local woodlands that I've just mentioned, spend some time there, come home, cook a roast dinner, spend some time in the garden most likely, and then maybe play some games in the evening, light a few candles, might even cook over the fire actually, we should see. I never tend to make set plans like that unless we're actually going to one of the pagan camps, because I like to free flow it. I like to go with the flow, with our energy at that moment. As long as we're doing something to mark the occasion, that's all that matters really. It's all about intention in my opinion. And when you grow food, you naturally become involved in and a part of that cycle of life, that part of nature, that cycle of nature, because you have to work with nature in order to grow the food. So just by planting and sowing seeds, you're part of that cycle. So you're naturally celebrating those seasonal changes as you go, especially when you eat what you're growing and you're eating as seasonally as possible. So I'm going to go and run a nice hot bubbly bath with some Epsom salts because I'm a little sore and tender. I'm still feeling a bit run down, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go have a bath. So let's head back to some clips of what else has been developing in the garden since I've recorded this little mini segment. As it's constantly changing day by day, I'm sure there'll be other things for me to add on to the end of this. So wishing you all a wonderful spring equinox, I hope you all enjoy your Stara and have a wonderful season. It's not Easter till April for you guys, I'm afraid, so I'll pop back on with an Easter message closer to the time. But wishing you all the best and blessings from my heart to yours.
First I'm going to look for that.
So it's the spring equinox, and as you can see, even my tiny baby hawthorns are showing wonderful signs of spring. If I put my hand behind it, so excuse the muddy fingers. But as you can see there, there's loads of little tiny buds of life in there. And the sambucus looks absolutely thriving here. Seems to be really enjoying it. It's enjoying being in the ground instead of in a pot, bless it. My mullein now has a spot where it can safely spread its roots and grow. So I'm hoping that it salvages it somewhat, because as you can see, it's not looking the most healthy. This is one of the ones that moved from the allotment that I was concerned about. You can see the wild strawberries that are planted are really enjoying their new home. My lawn chamomile has gone in too. It's freshly planted today, and I'm going to try and get the mugwort out as well, so that can have its new home. So, as with all things in the garden, I've changed my plans and I've now shoved the mugwort in here because I think it'll thrive better there. And it does go quite high, so we'll cover this bit, and then I'm going to make the top of it look all nice with fairy lights anyway, so it'll be quite pretty once I'm finished with it. But I'm now going to put the hops in this bed here instead, and can grow up and over the bulk of that fence, making it look like a living fence from this side. So I think that will work better. And the wild strawberries can compete with a bit of hops, that's not a problem. So these gates we got off Facebook Marketplace. In fact, I think they were £5 for the two, because I've got one for out the front as well to match. Look at these! My bare roots have come in the post. Look how big they are. Actually, they're a lot bigger than I expected. A lot bigger than the last lot I ordered, the hawthorn. This is my elder, as you can see. The elder. And this is all my wild rose. This is great fun. Can't wait to get all these out. So yeah, I do. I have 20 here. And this is going to help form part of my hedging. Oh, that one's fallen over. A couple have fallen over, unfortunately. But you can see my hedging's lined up, and he's going to dig them all in now. Well done! Clever girl! So they're now all in, all my hedging. Wish me luck, guys. Probably an insane idea and it probably won't work, but ever the optimist, ever the optimist. With wild strawberries in front of them. And I've left all this as ground layer because I'm trying to do a food forest style. So these are just like my ground layery plants, really, I guess. Because I still want it to be a garden the kids can play in too. But just made it in time because it's just starting to rain. So I'm going to let these bare roots get settled in their new home and go indoors and have a nice nettle tea. And I just got myself some dandelion roots, to be honest, when I was digging it all up, so I'm going to make some coffee as well.